Hello, guys. This is Kean from Football Obsession. Welcome back to yet another episode. Today it's going to be a bit of a different episode. We're not with a football expert here, but we're with someone who has had an interesting life in the world of football. With Ron, who is also my mum's partner. And the reason why I've named it special guest is because we've been trying to get him on, and for one reason or another, it's just not happened. How are you, Ron?
Me, I'm good today. I'm just quite anxious. I'm just waiting to see what you're going to throw at me, but I'm ready.
Okay.
I'm ready.
Fighting talk, I like it.
Oh, I'm ready. I'm ready.
Yeah, of course. Now I know. So you guys know, I know that Ron wouldn't have watched all the games this weekend because you were busy, and you also went to a Christmas pantomime with my mum. How was that?
That was really good. Unfortunately, on the row where we were, we're the only adults, but I just carried on, and I loved it.
That's great. That's great. I'm glad. Obviously, we love Christmas. I'm trying to get a green screen edit for Christmas. I'm going to ask you about a few things today, as you've given me a few things to work with as well. And I already know quite a lot as well. So before we get into any results and anything of how teams played this past weekend, I want to ask you first, which we've not actually, we spoke about around a month ago now, but it seems to be getting worse. Now, this Omicron in the UK, the Man United game's been postponed. There's rumours of an outbreak at City happening. There's an outbreak at Brighton. There's an outbreak at many Premier League clubs. Do you think it's definitely going to happen where there's games behind closed doors again and there's no fans?
I don't think so, because for the government to make that ruling, it's not just football crowds, it was crowds with hospitality, and unfortunately I think they'll be shitting themselves about making a wrong decision. So I don't think they will. Clubs might decide to do different things, but I think what will overtake it is the number of matches that will be postponed because of the players catching it. Because this one is different. This strain is different than all the others because it spreads more quickly than the other one did. And that's why it's such a bad thing.
Really. Yeah, it is. And I know they're saying it's obviously milder. It's not affecting people as much, but it's obviously spreading very quickly, and it seems to be a very, very glaring issue in this country right now. And obviously, hopefully, everyone in the United camp and everyone who's got it is okay at the end of the day.
But when did it get postponed? When did you find out?
Funnily enough, there's quite a mad story to this. So this journalist that I follow on Twitter, his name's Paddy. He tweeted about it. It was still on. There was a flight still scheduled from Manchester to London at 1 p.m. this afternoon. This was at 11:25 last night, and then by 11:35, Man United had tweeted that it had been cancelled. Well, it had been postponed. So obviously, it's not ideal for the travelling fans, but I think it was always going to happen, as I actually discussed with you over message.
Right. Okay. So what time was that? What time was what time's kickoff then?
I think it was 8 p.m. or 8:15 p.m.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. So we'll get into the matches. Well, one of the matches. I know you've been watching United over recent weeks, as you've texted me over after the games. So it's obviously, you might not know this actually. People watching this will definitely know this. With Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, obviously the previous Man United manager, I backed him the whole way. I stuck with him the whole way, and I think it was on my birthday where I was watching the match, and there became a point where I said, I can't watch this anymore. Like it can't continue. Now, obviously, Ralph Rangnick has been brought in, and none of us really knew that much about him. Obviously, we know quite a lot about him now. But do you think there's been a change already in how United have been playing from what you've watched, considering we won 1-0?
100%. Now, that's me, and I am no football statistician. I just like football. But I just, I mean, I've been involved in football for years, seen many clubs, etc. But when people say that the dressing room is where it all happens, it is absolutely true, because nothing had changed from Ollie's last game to the temporary guy to the permanent guy now. And look, they're all playing, and they all seem to know what they're doing on the pitch. Whereas before, I thought they were just passes like, oh, a glorified training session.
Yeah,
I
agree.
That's what I thought. And I said, why? But I just don't know what's going behind closed doors. Nobody does, but it seems for the better. And at least he's gone with his head held high, which he always will be anyway, I hope.
Yeah, I of course, I hope that too. At the end of the day, he was a Man United legend for something he did in 1999, and he played for the club for 10, 11 years and scored like 200 and odd goals, something like that. So obviously, he'll always have that connection with the club. But at the end of the day, like you say, there was a very clear change. And I was actually discussing this with my driving instructor, as I do discuss with my driving instructor weekly about football. He was sort of saying, basically similar to you, you could see what the players were doing against Crystal Palace and against Norwich. Now, again, this weekend just gone against Norwich, it wasn't the best possible performance, but you could see everybody had an idea of what they wanted to do and how we wanted to play forward. And something that really caught me after the game was the comments by Ralph. And he said, that wasn't what we wanted, how we wanted to play. That wasn't how we wanted to sort of set the team out and play the game and attack Norwich, which is a very good style. I love that style personally, rather than the style of Ole Gunnar Solskjaer in the sense of saying, my boys did well, my boys fought to the very end. It was very almost too nice in a way, and that's not to attack him as a man or even as a manager. For me, it was just too nice. It was almost you're letting the players off and you're letting yourself off with setting the team out to perform badly. Do you agree with that, or do you think the nice style was better?
Well, obviously it's always great to be the nice guy, but I was just thinking about what you just said then. So what would you, or what do most of the United fans, what would they have preferred him to be like rather than this nice?
That's a very good question. If any, I know Donny Imani's in the chat right now. He just said yo before. And if any other United fans can get in the chat, and any other just football fans in general, obviously most of you as football fans can get in the chat and say what Ollie could have done different. For me, what he could have done different is say that in public. Like, don't go all Jose Mourinho and say and start bullying players publicly. That's not acceptable. But what he could have done is sort of say that wasn't acceptable. For example, that performance against City, the one against Liverpool, he took full responsibility for. But the one against City, it was one of the worst performances I've ever seen from United. And again, like you said, it was a glorified training session. And what he could have said was that was not acceptable. But what he did say was, we're working to improve it. And there was no improvement. There was no improvement going forward. There was no improvement in defense. There was no improvement at all. So for me, what he could have been a bit more tougher. Now, I'm absolutely not denying that Ollie behind the scenes was tough, because to come into a club in 2018 that was in just a toxic mess and turn it around and bring the mood of the club upwards, if that makes sense, bring the trajectory of the mood up, that to me tells me he's got some balls of steel in a way. Now, TA206, let me just bring my camera down. TA206 says, for me, he could have been less stubborn, and he didn't really face big questions like, why aren't you playing Donny van der Beek and stuff like that. The press have a big part in his downfall, in my opinion. I feel like that could be true. What's your thoughts on that, Ron?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that is, I agree there, because it's like you say, what you said his answer is we need to improve. Well, any child who's in a classroom, you speak to the teacher, say you need to do better. Well, what, sir? What do I need to do better? Tell me how. He did not say this person, that person, the other. He wouldn't do that. And whether that was he wanted to be nice, I'm not sure. Or, I mean, he's done managing before and he seemed to be okay. Can legends come back to clubs and give what the fans want all the time? I don't know.
No, true. Yeah, I completely agree with you. It seems the legend sort of mantra is not working with a lot of clubs. Doesn't seem to be working with Arsenal. It isn't working with Barcelona in the past few weeks since it started with Xavi. It didn't work with Chelsea with Lampard. But one club that I really want to ask you about, and that you will have definitely, I assume, some feeling about right now, and that is in the title of the video. So Eddie Howe has taken charge of Newcastle. Now, obviously, the club has dominated the media in the past few months. You were around Manchester City, if you don't mind me saying, when they got taken over in 2008, wasn't it? And from what I know, now I've only spoke to you about this a few times, but from what I know, you wasn't very happy with that takeover.
Right.
How are you feeling about the Newcastle takeover?
Well, I left. I mean, they all know what I used to do at City. I was the head steward and I did stewarding for the England team. So I've been everywhere with lots of different players, lots of different managers. And my role at City was to instill the, I would say, the community spirit of football. It was a Saturday, 3:00. You've got your young lads coming in from the academy. You've got the guy down the road. You're getting the schools involved. But when Shinawatra took over, it was all about money. Now, to the fans, great, we can buy this, we can buy that. But the whole heart of football went, and I was not comfortable. And unfortunately, that's the way it has to go, because it is all about money. That's where the players go, and that's what it's about, and it won't change. So hopefully, well, yeah, I don't know what this guy, how much he's got behind him, what experience his team has got for Newcastle, but well, I mean, the thing is, I just feel sorry for the fans when they either get ripped off with the tickets and the kits and the things, and the players are not performing. Yeah, I do feel sorry for them, but they have to change, and it is all about money. It is all about money.
100%. And it's never nice to see what Mike Ashley, I think I've spoke to you about this before. Mike Ashley in all of his companies is not a very nice man. And obviously he obviously owned Newcastle United, and it wasn't nice to see what he did to that club. He obviously just drained all the money out of it, didn't invest anything into it. There's a Newcastle fan here in Mr. Drippy. He said hello before. He's not used to chatting, but I know that he's sort of very much looking forward to the rebuild of Newcastle. And again, I was quite young to see the rebuild of City, but it sort of was very clear how fast they rebuilt. So from 2008 and being taken over, which they were already, let's say, a mid-table, so 10th in the Premier League team, to then winning the league title in 2012, it was. That's a very quick turnaround in taking a team from that to that. Now, I don't think that the owner will be able to take Newcastle from relegation to challenging for the Premier League that quickly. I think it's going to be around 5 to 10 year project. Do you agree with that?
Well, it could be. I mean, you know, probably more than me. How many of the original backroom staff, coaches, and all them have they still got at Newcastle? Or
I'm not 100% sure. I know that the one that Steve Bruce brought one in I think it was January, and I'd never seen him before. I remember saying to my uncle, as you know, obviously Martin, I remember saying to him that like I've never seen this guy before. Who's this guy? So obviously we Googled it, and he was brought in as a new assistant coach, and they started playing well after that, coincidentally. But I'm not sure about. I know he's still there, but I'm not sure about the rest of the backroom staff. at all.
Because they do have a big part. Well, Mike, did you hear something about Mike Phelan? Has he gone?
Mike Phelan, he was at United. Mike
but
actually.
But is he? No, but did he go? Was he? He was another one.
We're actually not too sure about where Mike Phelan is at the moment. We've not seen him. It's because United haven't announced that he's left, but we've not seen him. He's still apparently in the role, but he's behind the scenes. Ralph said he doesn't take any training sessions or anything like that. It's all a bit confusing as to why he's still there and he's not actually doing anything.
Yeah, I mean that's the hard decisions where when you take over a club is either you got to make a fresh start, but no matter what, you're going to upset people, whether it's internally, the board, but nobody considers the fans. That's the issue.
Yep, I agree with you completely. That's what was being said last night about the United game being postponed. The away fans that were travelling, some away fans had already travelled. They left it till midnight basically in the UK to announce that it was postponed. It was way too late. People were waiting all day, and we weren't sure it was on off. Now, for me, I already expected it to be called off because in that situation, maybe people can call me a pessimist, but I wasn't being a pessimist. I was sort of being realistic in the sense of it seems it's going to be called off. If you've got a positive lateral flow, it seems you're going to have a positive PCR test, especially with the clubs. So we'll go into City now. Now, a lot of people, I know City have just got the win, and who was it that scored? Let me make sure. It was Raheem Sterling, and he got his 100th career goal. A lot of people have, from what I've seen, have been debating about Sterling. And one of my uncle's mates, his name is John. He hates Sterling. He can't stand him. But for me, I'm sure you'll know, I do rate Sterling, but I don't really like to say out loud that I rate a City player. What do you think about Sterling from obviously what you know and how much you've watched recently?
Well, I think the thing is with people like with Sterling and who's the other one? I mean, De Bruyne, he's just a different kettle of fish. I think with Sterling, he is a celebrity first, then a footballer.
I can see that.
That's
for sure.
That's the thing, is because he thinks his name, he just carries him rather than it's Sterling rather than I'm playing for City. That's what I think his biggest problem is. And when he has a downer, he doesn't understand why everyone gets on his back. But because when you shit, and you need to accept that you shit. But he didn't, and he doesn't, and that's why a lot of people don't rate him, because he can never say I'm wrong. It's always somebody else's fault.
I can compare that with someone who there's a lot, and when I say a lot of talk, I mean in the media every single day at this point is Pogba at United. I can compare that completely. For me, if anyone's asking my opinion on Pogba, and I've said it several times, he's in the media so much. It's a headache with him and his agent. He wants to be the highest paid player in Premier League history, and he doesn't warrant that. So for me, I would let him go. For Sterling, would you let Sterling go at the end of his contract? I think his contract's up next year.
Yeah, he's only got one more year to go.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, it's quite tight at the top, and it's all about results. And if there's no change, and if he doesn't keep getting picked, and if he starts throwing his toys out the pram, well, do one.
Yeah, I agree. I agree, and I agree that with United as well.
It's that same thing. Nobody is bigger than the crest.
Yep. Everyone says it about United. I completely agree. Some comments what I'll get into here. Mike Phelan is a weird one in my opinion. Think he's here because the club probably sees him as the little bit of Sir Alex Ferguson left, as he was his assistant coach, but he's far from that now. Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
100% agree with that. Never met that guy before. TA 206.
Yeah.
Like your wording. Love your wording. Nice.
Blakey, who he was on the podcast a few weeks ago. I'm very close with him. I speak to him an awful lot. He says, "Hi, Key, and hi, Uncle Ron. Sorry for the late show. I had to nip out. Hope you're both keeping well and having a good stream so far." So yeah, that's nice. Thank you, Gavin. I appreciate that. My neighbour's a City fan and he wants to get rid of Sterling. He says that he runs into people all the time, and we've seen the best of him. He says he should take 40 million. Should anyone offer? I don't think 40 million.
Who?
Surely not 40 million. No, but I would say more than that. He's a Premier League winner. He's done very well if you look at his numbers.
Yeah, but when people look to buy, I mean, we're even talking about Grealish at the minute. When you go to buy something, you want to make sure you're getting value for money.
Yeah.
Is it gonna last you? Is it if it doesn't last, can you fix it? With him, there's too many. Not sure. Whatever club he does go to, could you imagine where he thinks that he would fit in any dressing room? He'd want to be there. Yep. Whereas that's not, he can't go into a team like that.
No, yeah, I completely, yeah, you're completely right. Completely right. Viraj says, honestly, Pogba is good riddance for MUFC. I do tend to agree with you there, mate. I know you're a great at Fantasy Premier League as well, because you were talking about that on the last stream. I hope you're doing well. Hope you do well this week. I know there's not many teams playing now. But with City, I am going to ask your opinion on Jack Grealish, as you did briefly mention him. Now, £100 million. For me, I said it on the channel. I've said it to one of my close friends, Jordan. He's an Aston Villa fan. And he, at the start, said, I wish him the best. He did his best for us. But I always said, let's say Marcus Rashford, who I absolutely love. He's probably my favourite player at United. Let's say he left in that same way he left United in that same way Jack Grealish left Aston Villa. I'd have a bitter taste in my mouth for leaving the boyhood club, which when we've nurtured you, do you know what I mean? If that makes sense.
150%. But let me just tell you now, all this about how much players are worth and that, it's all corruption with their agents. End of.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, that's completely right. You're completely right. And funnily enough, I mentioned it for the first time on social media. Now, I've had this opinion for months on end now, probably basically since February. And I've been discussing this a lot with my uncle. Obviously, Martin. And he was saying the clubs need to get together and sort of refuse to pay the agents this amount of money. For example, Erling Haaland, he's going to go for, like, let's say £63 million in the summer. And then his agent wants another £60 million, which is absolutely ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. I think that the clubs have to come together and fight against these agents. Now, the clubs aren't going to do that. It's a very unrealistic thing to happen. But I do agree that the agent power and the player power in football is massively has massively taken over. Was it like that when you were involved in football, or was it massively different?
No, it was the money. Sounds after the money wasn't there. It was more about the community. It was the fans. They were the most important thing. It was the fans. What can we do for the fans? We need them here. But now, it's completely. It's just sad, and that's why it's a bit like Busman's holiday, because I used to live, sleep, and breathe football. And there's probably nobody who's met, well, been 10, 12 years ago now since I left doing the England and UEFA stuff and what have you. And I've met so many different people. I know so many different things behind the scenes. And the football is only half of it.
Yep.
That's the thing. Football,
especially nowadays.
Football is just half of it. And that is my honest opinion. I mean, just think, it was only a year and a half ago we were having a different conversation. The conversation, not one fan was spoke to or think about Super League.
Oh, that was wasn't a year and a half ago. It was April this year. April this year.
hello. Well,
yeah, exactly.
Well, I'm 57, so my brain's going a bit.
Losing the plot. No,
Absolutely.
I'm only joking. I'm only
But
joking.
But that's exactly where it is. It just proves who are you really interested in here?
Yeah. Again, like the Glazers have only sort of started to act relatively well. And this isn't to say that I'm Glazers in or anything like that. I never will be. But they've started to sort of make a few right decisions since the fans protested. And it shouldn't have had to come to that. Obviously, we've seen for 16 years that they don't care. They've taken loans out against the club. They've put the club in debt. They've done this. They've done that. And they don't care. But someone says here, TA says, I can't really understand why players get tormented by money. Every time I play football, it's always about the game. I could never imagine turning Man United down for PSG because they had offered more. I completely agree. I completely agree. I can't. I think the person who sort of made this, he was the pioneer, let's say, and I'm not blaming him. It's in a way a good thing for football in the sense of it's publicised football even more, but it's also a bad thing in the sense of what you've just said, TA. It's David Beckham. Now, obviously, he's still a superstar now, and he's one of the biggest superstars in the world, and is married to one of the biggest superstars in the world as well. So the superstar thing where you want money and you want to be a social media superstar and in the media, that sort of was pioneered by David Beckham. And if George Best was around in that time, like playing football, it would have been pioneered by George Best as well, as he was like the world's first superstar, weren't he? So it comes down to money and just wanting the followers and stuff like that.
Of course, but I think you just hit a nail on the head about it's and TA's question before about you can't understand why somebody went from United to PSG. Well, look at the misses.
Yeah.
The misses like Beckham, Pogba's one. It's all about this fantasy.
It's like the dream life in it, in the head of sort of having a nice girl, a nice car, social media superstar.
Yeah, and absolutely. And
I'd want to be like Paul Scholes, me, not in the sense of him sucking toes, in the sense of him. I don't know if you've seen that video, Ron.
No, I haven't, Keen, but I will Google it when we're finished.
Oh, I'll describe it to you. There's a video. He's been caught on camera, him sucking his daughter's toes. yeah, unbelievable. But anyway, I would want to be like Paul Scholes in the sense of disappearing when I'm a footballer. Playing football, going to my room, eating some M&Ms and watching a film. That's my life. You know what I mean?
And that's probably because he respects the job he's got to do.
Yeah.
Because he goes there, puts his shirt on, plays his game, plays his heart out, puts his shirt away, goes home. That's it. Not in being arrested in my big car, speeding. I've done this. How else?
Yeah.
And they just cannot manage that lifestyle, and you can't mix the two. They think they can.
Yeah, I agree completely. I want to ask you a question about City, and it's obviously it's not relevant right to right now in City playing. If you are able to reveal, I don't know if you're allowed or not still, are you allowed to reveal any of the stories, interesting stories and interesting players you've met, interesting players you've spoke to?
Interesting players I've met virtually. Bearing in mind, you're looking at the early 2000s, so I think the most interesting time, even though I'd what my role was at City, my role was the head steward, and I looked after the directors and players security. So it was not only at the home games, not only the away games in England, I also did some work with UEFA. So I used to go abroad with the players of Liverpool, Everton, Tottenham, Arsenal, Chelsea, United, when they were obviously in Champions League. and I used to just follow them about. Obviously, I was a City fan. It was great. I did more United events than ever. So I've met everybody, and yeah, I go away with them 2-3 days at a time before an away game, and it's all lifestyle, money, having a good time. It's behind the scenes is completely different than what you see on a 3 o'clock.
Oh yeah, of course. Yeah.
And that is true. But I've met everybody from Beckham, all the England team at that time. The nicest one I thought who was always a gent. I don't know why, and he was just very. I forgot his bloody name now. That's my age. Used to play for Tottenham. Sheringham.
Teddy Sheringham. Yeah, he used to play for United as well.
All right, there you go. Just gentleman, and I never forget. He was just a nice, just a nice person,
Like down to earth guy.
Yeah, he's the one that always stuck out to me. Never mind any other the City players or anybody, but just he was a gent, and he did. Yeah. He was like a Paul Scholes. He did his job, went away, did a few autographs. Didn't think he was big time about I'm not doing this and what have you. No, he was just genuine, and that's he was there for the fans.
Oh yeah, of course, and that's what we love. He was involved in one of the most famous nights in Man United's history in '99, in winning the treble in May '99.
Yeah, right.
I would have loved to have been around that night. I would have loved it. I think I've said that to you before. Viraj has a question. Which player stood out off the field at United during your job?
I think only because he the media presence and people around him and his wife was David Beckham. And the reason why is because I got to know him probably better than any other non-City player, because I was doing England games at the same time. So if I didn't see him at one of the United away games abroad, I didn't do the United home games because obviously I worked for City. But if I didn't do them, I used to see them at the abroad. And when you're around their company for 2 or 3 days, you just get attached. And yeah, money is nothing. And it just makes you wonder if he's got any money left with
all the tattoos and the wife.
The wife. Yeah.
Well, she's a multi-millionaire herself, isn't she?
She is now.
Oh
she
yeah.
She is now. Yeah,
of course. I was actually discussing David Beckham with my uncle the other day, and I was sort of saying, like, he's not as much. Let's say Ryan. Well, I won't use Ryan Giggs. It's a bad example. Let's say Michael Owen in the media a lot. Does like punditry, or even Gary Neville, for example. David Beckham. He's obviously got a club, but he doesn't stand out as that superstar that like, for example, Gary Neville is. Maybe that's just from a perspective of someone in the UK, and someone who's still very young. Do you know what I mean? I'm only 19 right now, though. He doesn't stand out as that superstar, but maybe it will change when the stadium's open, if that makes sense. The new stadium for Inter Miami, which a lot of people will want to go to, and it'll be like a tourist attraction sort of thing. So maybe that will change. I would have thought it would have been better for him to stick around at Salford City and build the club up from there, which I sort of enjoyed. Like I enjoyed watching them document how they were building the club up.
So just on that one, which is just come back to me now. Then, so what's his involvement with Salford?
He's a co-owner, so the class of '92. So Gary Neville, Paul Scholes, Nicky Butt. I assume Ryan Giggs still partly owns it, but I'm not 100% sure because of what his own goings.
You've answered that question. There is, we talked about two types of players: ones who play for the shirt, and the others who the bank balance.
Yeah.
Now Salford, you saw having the names of Beckham and the names of Giggs, but you want the Scholes ones where they're there week after week. The fans can see it, and they've got the fight, they've got the passion. There's two different types of people, and
I agree.
think that's what's missing from football at whatever level, grassroots, Premiership, Championship. That's what's missing.
Yeah, I agree. I do want to ask you about quite a serious topic, and it's just come to me now. Players, I don't know if you've noticed, there's a lot of players going down holding the chest at the moment. One of the Man United players, Victor Lindelof, he's had to have tests on his heart over the past 2 days. He had to go off because he went down holding his chest. Seen a clip last night. I'm not sure what league it was in, but someone went down holding the chest. Have you ever seen this before? Is this now a new glaring issue that needs to be looked at in the regime and stuff like that? Or
100%. And the thing is, and it's not one of those things where people should just tar everything with the same brush. Long-term COVID.
I can see that. Yeah. Again, I wasn't sure whether to mention that as it could cause sort of controversy, but I can see that 100%.
Because you just think, okay, your game's got postponed, cancelled because of it's gone right the way through. Something's wrong. And
100%.
Well, I don't care whether it's this new variant or not. Something is wrong. We're not the professionals, but people's lives are here.
And, of course,
and that's the sad thing. And to think you've got to make all those people go in isolation to postpone a match. Some of them could be turning up and saying, "Yes, I'm fine, and they're at half strength. And who knows?
Yeah, I agree. A lot of players do that. Like Rashford does that, and it's obviously they just want to play football and they just want to sort of do the job to a certain sense. But again, it's not sensible, is it? It's not a sensible decision to make. That'd be like me in 2019 when I had health issues, deciding that I want to go and play professional football. It wouldn't have made sense to anyone, and it doesn't make sense. There's also a German player, Kimmich, who is out until the new year with a lung issue.
There you go. Yeah, he just said exactly the same. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, at the lungs, but again, it could be that there could be something to do with the regimes. There could be so many different issues involved.
And also is again, I think the managers probably know more than what they're telling us, because how many times have you seen, doesn't matter what team, especially match of the day I've been watching, and it's like the fans start booing. Why have they subbed him? Why he's all right? He's not. Well, how do you know what's going on behind the scenes?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, because was it kept like obviously when like let's say Sir Alex Ferguson, for example, when he was managing, he obviously was very hush with the media. He only told them what he wanted them to know, and only let in what he wanted people in on, and let out what he wanted people out on. So was it all like not just at United but in football in general when you were involved? Was it all very hush about the injuries? Let's tell them. Let's not tell them more than we're letting on. Let's not let on. Yeah.
In our place, it was just, if you tell them a lie, at least they'll print the right thing.
Yeah.
If you tell them the truth, which is not news, no good.
No. Yeah.
That's why. So it is. So when you pick the paper up or you read on thinking, is it true? Is it not? That will always be the case. Always be the case, especially now, because you've got obviously this health issue, which we've said are various different reasons why people are not playing, and it's also that, or you see a player just go down for no reason, no one's been near them. Next minute, the hamstring's gone or whatever. Has it? Or are they just not well?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and there's so many games as well. Obviously, there's literally a game every few days, especially over the past year and a half. There's been a game every few days since when there was no fans in the stadium. There was there was like Saturday, Wednesday, Sunday, for example. There was games like that each week, every single week, and there was absolutely no rest. There was so many games crammed in, and that is a possibility that happens again if we go behind closed doors again, which I know you don't think it will happen, but there's a possibility. I was getting to a few comments here. Baz says, fair enough. I'm glad you came in to drop in. Dia says, Kian, I hope you're all right, Dia. Just dropped in to say Lewis Nanny is a GOAT. It's his son's birthday today. I saw on Instagram, Baz. I'm not sure if you've seen. I was discussing with my uncle before on Instagram message. I love how his son is a massive United fan. His son's birthday is based around United. He's got a United cake, etc. Matty says, Sue. With that, do you enjoy that Ronaldo celebration, or do you think it's sort of been, it's a bit, oh no, let's not do that sort of thing? Because there's very mixed emotions from what I've seen. Most people seem to like it, but there's a very few small minority where, especially like match going fans, I've seen. I've said this is a no sue zone where we can't say it, and it's very like sort of this modern day football fan sort of thing. What's your thoughts on it? Do you think it's just an enjoyable thing?
Well, it is. That's what I think that what people need to understand is they need to bring that joy back to football, and make the fans feel like they are part of it, not just there to just keep putting the coffers in. And if it's enjoyable, bring it on.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, of course. That's what football's all about. Like we say, going to the ground, having a laugh with your mates, watching it at 2:30 a.m. if you're in another country or whatever, and enjoying it. Do you know what I mean? It's not all about the taking it so serious to the point where we can't enjoy it. We've got to enjoy it.
Absolutely. Talking about energy and players, Sir Ferguson owns hundreds of horses. He's got horses which are worth millions.
Yeah.
He doesn't ride that horse every single race or every single ground. He'll give him a break because he knows he wants to keep them at the peak. But what's happening now, as you can see, the players that used to be playing 90 minutes every single time, they can't do it.
Struggling, yeah.
And I think something's got to give, how they look at the matches, look at the way, because unfortunately there's going to be a fatality, and there's no point of having an inquiry after that. I just think while we're going through this thing at the moment, it's just
it is quite serious.
It is very.
It is very serious. We'll move on to an enjoyable thing for United fans to talk about is a possibility of Leeds getting relegated. Now, they don't seem to be clicking this season. Something's not going right. Again, it may be fatigue, it may be burnout in the sense of they've played too much energy and they've played too much the same starting 11. Chelsea just about got that win. And in a way, I'm glad that Chelsea got that win because it keeps them closer to City and Liverpool. As obviously, I don't want them to win the title, and United ain't winning the title. So I'd prefer Chelsea to win it than any other team, really. But with Leeds, I know my thoughts on Leeds and Leeds fans. What's your thoughts on Leeds and Leeds fans from your experiences?
Well, I don't even know if I've ever told you this, but when I was at Main Road, we played them in the FA Cup, and one of my roads, because obviously Main Road had 4 stands: Kippax, Main Stand, North Stand, and Platt Lane. And to get from A to B, I had to just walk round the perimeter. Yep. And this is one thing I can't do: stop Amazon parcels coming. So can I just?
Yeah, no, that's fine. Yeah. Live not even technical issues, just live issues with parcels coming. I had to answer the door to about 5 parcels today, and it was time after time while I'm sat here listening to music, just sat in the exact same spot listening to music.
No, I've told them to leave it there, so that's fine. Hope nobody nicks
right.
it. That's good. Yeah. So as I was walking around, I had my city suit on, and this young lad, and he was about 8, and he's waving, and I went, "You okay, sir?" And his dad said, come over here.
And you've told me this.
And I said, "This, how can I help you?" And he just went and spat in my face. And
it makes me angry to hear.
And all of them started then cheering and clapping. But what got me is the fact of he got his young son, who was about 7 or 8, to do it. pre-planned, and that always stuck in the back of my head, and that was 20 odd years ago.
Yeah, of course it's gonna stick in anyone's head. That's horrible thing to happen. Like normally, let's say like if someone does that on the street to anyone in general, normally it's not gonna end well with the other person, is it? But you're literally working. Do you know what I mean? No one deserves that in general anyway. But you're literally working. There's absolutely no way you can go back and say something or defend yourself or anything like that. So
it wasn't just obviously the reason why I did it, because obviously it was just followed on by loads of racist abuse. So, and what you do hear about Leeds fans, well, it's unfortunately that Leeds as a football club must if it's still happening now, and it's
sorry, what did you say there?
Ago.
It cut out. Sorry to interrupt. It did cut out there. What did you say there?
I was saying that. Well, if that happened to me 20 odd years ago, and even to now, when Leeds fans come to Manchester and they're still causing the amount of trouble like they do, well, the club's got to take some sort of responsibility.
Yeah, of course. The ethics and values of the club. If that's found out that happens, it's got to be shut down straight away, in the sense of this is unacceptable, publicly shut down, not just sending a letter to the person and closing the season ticket down. It's got to be publicly shut down. Otherwise, it's setting the precedent that it's acceptable for people to do that. And obviously, it's not acceptable for people to do that. Which is obviously another, like TA says, that's the horrible side of football that happens to this day. It's a very dark side of football, which does show its ugly face. I would say, from what I notice every now and again, but again, you and many other people will notice it, and we noticed it when the first player, I think Josh Cavallo, came out as gay, and people sort of abused him for it. I think half of it was a lot of trolling, but some of it was a bit real. Do you know what I mean? Now, obviously, that's a horrible side to football, which is a debate for another day. How to tackle like abuse over social media, for example, in football, and tackle abuse in the stands in football. That's a conversation for a completely another day. And again, I'm sorry that you had to go through that, and I have heard you've told me that before. At the same time, now I want to ask you about a player who's doing very, very well. Now, I'm not sure if you'll have noticed how well he's doing, but Reece James. So I assume you know about Trent Alexander-Arnold from Liverpool, don't you? The right back.
I know him. Yeah.
So Reece James, he seems to be challenging him. So Trent Alexander-Arnold's like the best. You know what I mean? Currently, and I hate to say that. I hate saying stuff like that out loud. But Reece James seems to be challenging him right now. Do you think that that's a good thing for the England squad, or a bad thing? Do you think for the England squad, like the World Cup will be happening in 1 year's time? It's a Christmas World Cup. Again, that's another thing that's all the money.
Oh, I was going to say that's a whole nother conversation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, do you think that Reece James is a good competition for Trent Alexander-Arnold for the World Cup, or do you think we should just have one clear player for each position?
If you did have one clear player for the position, you get complacent.
True, yeah, like Harry Maguire at United.
You should always go as if you are not guaranteed a place and you're going to fight for it, because otherwise there is no point. You'll never be a team player then. You could turn into a Sterling.
A Sterling or a Pogba, or like when Pogba is not injured, I think he'll be fit in January or February. I think he will think he can come straight back into the team. I think personally, you've got to work for that. You've got to challenge.
Don't get on the team bus and then at the end of the match slag off if you weren't playing and the manager didn't choose you for whatever reason. You play for that.
Yeah, of course. You play for the badge. You play for Boohoo, man.
That's Boohoo, not for them. I thought I'd be sitting up on.
Play for the badge, of course.
Yeah, of course.
No matter what. And I assume you will have seen that when you were working for City, because I think, well, especially in the early days, like very early days of let's say 2000,
Yeah,
1900s.
my one were mainly Kevin Keegan.
Okay.
Kevin Keegan, Joe Royal. Oh God, Keegan, what if
Yeah.
you know these? You'll have to Google all these.
I know Kevin Keegan.
Kevin Keegan, Joe Royal type of day. But they had respect because they were players that played for the shirt. They weren't on the big wages. They had one job to do, and they did it. But now players, there's too much shit hanging on.
Yeah.
With the job, you can't sort of apply. I want to be a footballer. And they want to be a footballer. Well, you need to be able to do this, that. What's that got to do with
And
football?
from very young
It
as
doesn't
well.
matter. But you've got to be able to do that, and that.
Yeah. I could. Yeah, it's very clear. It's very clear. I'm gonna ask you to explain. So one of my favorite films, which I've not watched since around 2019. There's only one Jimmy Grimble. Now you featured as an extra in that, didn't you?
Well, I'd big myself up a bit more than an extra. Right.
Okay.
Jimmy Grimble was filmed all around the old main road, which was City's ground up until 2003. So this crew and the main character in it, Robbie Carlyle, Gina from I can't remember. And there was another one we spoke about the other day, another famous actor. But there was quite a few in it, and that in a sense was just a really good experience. But again, it's got a whole true story part of it, where his dad wanted him to play for another team, and he didn't want to do it, so he was doing things to please other people. And at the end of the day, the message got out that he did what he wanted to do, and even though it wasn't what other people wanted him to do, he got his way. And that's, I think, still happens now. So it might only be a film and all made up, but it's the message what kids should be getting, rather than the message kids get now.
Like the dream, the superstar, the £100,000 a week contract.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I completely agree with you.
So, that was a thing, and it was quite good, the rivalry between United and City and what the film made out. It was
it's very good. We probably like I'm not sure if many people know of it in the chat. I've mentioned it to a few people on Twitter before. I'm not sure whether I just know it because I'm from Manchester and because obviously I've known you for a very long time now, or whether I know it because it was it the like famous at the time, because obviously again I was very young when it came out.
Yeah, I think it was because it was Robbie Carlyle, and he's one of the main top actors at the time. And City, and because it was City United, that will always draw people, and that's how it was. So it was a really big affair at the time, and he had a massive premiere at the Trafford Centre, which is a big complex in Manchester,
right near Old Trafford.
We had all the both first teams there as well. All the first team for United, the first team for City, they came to the premiere to watch it, and so it was a very big thing at that time.
And it's a great film. I do recommend it to anyone that wants to watch it. It's called There's Only One Jimmy Grimble. It did get taken off Netflix, so I'm not sure how you'd watch it. There's obviously sites where you can watch films and things where you can watch films, etc. We'll get into a few questions. The last question of the episode, and then we'll end the stream there.
Good one.
There's too much player power these days. They expect themselves to play regardless of form, and clubs / nations seem to have been allowing it. What's your thoughts on that?
Absolute Blakey. I tell you what, you've got some good members on here, because they're all
I've built a great community here.
They all talk more sense than you. I tell you that now. No, I'm telling you. Listen,
but Baz will agree with that massively.
Big it up. That's an absolutely player power. Well, that's the problem is they think they've got the power, and they should. They don't. The club's got the power. The fans have got the power, not the player.
Yeah. 100%. I completely agree.
Yeah.
Donny, I'm only found that funny what you just said about talking more sense than me. I'm notoriously known, especially on Twitter, but it's in a group chat that I'm in with Imani. Now, you know, I like chicken nuggets. This is random and not football related. Chicken nuggets, beans, and mayonnaise, but with a blanket of mayonnaise. Yeah. Do you think there's anything wrong with that? Because I seem to get told it's absolutely disgusting by everyone I talk to about it. I just want to get your clarification.
Well, you can, and I think the people who've already made comments are quite valid.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah,
That's
fair enough.
all I need to say.
yeah, fair enough. That's another person who can add to the list of don't like it. But I want to say to you, Ron, and I know you've hurt your hand today. You've
banged I'm
not
not doing a
like
Keith Lemon. I have really hurt my hand today, big time. So yeah, but I thought I wasn't going to make it, but I tell you, I've really enjoyed it. I don't know, like you say, I don't know the ins and outs of football stats and things, but I like football. I like watching it. And I love what Keane gets out of this. And I tell you what, I wouldn't mind coming back.
Yeah, you could come back. I was thinking I'll text you of a debate that I want to do. I'll probably text it you later on. I want to do join the international break. So I'm not sure when the next international break is, or if the Premier League does get postponed, which there is rumours about. I want to do a debate, and I'd like to get you on again. I want to say a massive thank you for coming on again.
No problem at all. I'll tell you a nice debate which might shock some of your viewers. Is how about one where we talk about the trouble, whether it be racism, whether it be hooliganism, whether it be thingy, and how they get treated and get dealt with, because I think, well, probably they don't know, but I'm a magistrate, so I see a lot of people who get done for football offences in court, and it's just amazing how they get embroiled when they are in a group rather than an individual. And it's amazing how when you are part of a group, you're a completely different person and a different character.
Yeah, of course.
And it's how you need to be yourself rather than a follower.
Yeah, 100%.
That's what we need to get into the youngsters, that you should be an individual around football rather than joining. That's why I think the Black Lives Matter, that's why I think racism thing is happening now.
I'd like to discuss that.
Mental health and
100%. That is something that is literally what I was going to text you about. I was going to text you and say sort of a debate around. I've mentioned it briefly on the channel before, but I'd like to do a full debate around it. And you'll have some great opinions on it and on how social media abuse, especially racist abuse, it was rife during last season. I'm not sure about now. I've not seen it in the news recently, but it was absolutely rife to footballers over the past year and a half. And how we can tackle that as a society and as football clubs, if that makes sense.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Rather than, you know what I mean? And that would be great to have you on. Again, we've got that, and we've got that on video now. It's like on a video, so we can say people can sort of remind me, do you know what I mean? And stuff like that. I just want to say a massive thank you for coming on. I have genuinely enjoyed it having you on.
Well, I have, and I've enjoyed it. Now, do you all now go and start talking stats?
I'm gonna literally end the live stream. So as I end the live stream, we'll still be in the call. I'll say bye to you, and then I'll go downstairs to my mum. Right. So that's what'll happen.
Well, thank you.
You've got a compliment here, though. One of the best guests.
Hey, Donny, tell you, love you, no matter what team you support. By the way, watch next week. All kids follow
that. He always watches. He always watches.
We'll be all to big runs. I'll be taking all yours.
You're gonna create a podcast and take all mine. Can't be doing that.
Watch this space. No, thanks again.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
All right.
See you later, guys.
Care.
Have a great evening.
Bye.